Hello everyone, I'm back from my sewing weekend. I've spent 2 days recovering, which means literally not doing anything, just resting, because I get so tired when I go. But I wasn't sure if I was going to last the whole weekend because I was ill before I went and I almost lost my voice. It's pretty much all the way back now. My chest cleared up while I was away, so it was all good. I stayed for the whole weekend, but I did come home completely exhausted, fell asleep early Sunday evening once I unloaded the car, and have pretty much been in a bit of a zombie-like state for the last 2 days, just letting my body rest, which is something I have to do with my autoimmune. If I do too much, then I'm just in bed for weeks. So I've done that. I have yet to unpack all my stuff. I've got my sewing machine, embroidery unit, everything to put away. I've got all my bags to unpack, but I'll get around to that today and tomorrow. And what did I do? Well, I quilted my Dilly Flowers quilt. I'll add some photos later. I used a cute floral decorative stitch on the border. So all I've got to do now is the binding. So I might it's a lovely day outside today, so I might stitch the binding on and then sit out in the garden in the sunshine, soak up some vitamin D while I hand turn the binding and sew it down. And then it'll be done, ready for the use in the garden this summer. So I did that on the Thursday when I got there on Thursday. Then on Friday we started the workshop, which was perfect placement and exploring a lot of the stitches we don't always explore on our machines. I have played around with the ribbon stitches before on my machine, but I did some more there, ribbon stitches, and then I did some of the radiant stitches there, and then this center panel, that was the perfect positioning. This was done in 6 hoopings, so I think it was, yeah, this way up. So the middle, that was 1 hooping. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it was all about getting it all to line up. So I'm quite pleased with that bit, where that flower lines up quite nicely. The one on the other side, I was a little bit out. I'm about 1 millimetre out. But for a first go, it was good. Also playing around with the tension. So it quilted nicely on the back as well. Because if you use an embroidery machine, it is designed to pull the top thread through to the back, because normally the back is all hidden, so it looks perfect on the top, but it's rough underneath. So you have to play around with the tension to make sure that both threads meet in the middle inside the wadding, so front and back look as good as each other. So I was quite pleased, did that. So I just made a little panel just to practice, but it has given me a lot of confidence to quilt my quilts on my embroidery machine. I've got a bag of shame which is full of quilt tops I've made, but I haven't got around to layering them up or quilting them, because for me, I love making a quilt and I do like quilting them and I do like seeing them finished, but all the time I'm making a quilt, I'm sitting thinking, how shall I quilt this? How, you know, I don't want to ruin the design. You don't want to overpower all the work you've put in with piecing all the fabrics together that look lovely. But you don't want to be boring as well. So a lot of times I'm always in, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know. So I think, oh, I'll stick it in the bag, I'll think about it later. And of course later doesn't always come. But now I can quilt using some nice designs. I think I'm going to pull some of them out and layer them up and play around with them and get some quilted up. They'll only be for me, so if they're not 100% perfect, they can all be my practice pieces. If they're not 100% perfect, then it doesn't matter because they're just for me. They'll just get used in and around the garden. So that was, I did have a bit of a disaster Friday night where I was stitching one of the ribbon borders, and as the needle came down, it shot forward and I thought, oh, I've broken the needle. And then all the bits that hold the needle on the needle bar just all fell off my machine. And I was like, oh my word, I've broken my machine. And you know, if you haven't got a needle in your machine, you can't use it. And I was just like, what am I going to do? It was about 10, 10:30 at night. And luckily, because I had some fabric underneath the needle, it caught all the pieces. So I got all the pieces, put them in a bag. I didn't know if they were meant to look like that. I didn't know if they were meant, some shapes were bent, little fine bits of metal. I didn't know if they were broken. So I couldn't do anything else Friday night. And I was just like, oh, what should I do? Anyway, Jamie, who was running the workshop, has got the same machine as me. So I thought, if worst comes to the worst and it can't be fixed, I'll jump on Jamie's machine when he's not using it for a demo, and I'll just use his machine for the weekend. But the guy who comes to service the machines while we're there arrived nice and early Saturday morning and came to see me first because they told him I'd had a bit of a disaster. And he had a look at the pieces I had in the bag and he said, oh yeah, I can pop that back together. This one teeny tiny little piece, which is only 2 or 3 millimeters, which is the crucial bit. He said, most people lose that. He said, and if that was gone, I wouldn't have been able to fix it because it's a tiny little Allen screw that holds it all together. And obviously there was so much vibration over the time, it's just worked its way loose and all fell apart. But I know how to put it back together again now. So that was good. And I'm quite glad it happened at the weekend, because if it had happened here, I literally would have just thought, oh my God, I've completely broken my machine. And I would have thought, oh, I've got to tell my husband that I've broken the machine, and I would have just thought disaster. But because I had knowledgeable people around me who had had that happen as well, they were like, oh no, I'm sure it can be fixed. So all was good. So I spent all of Saturday quilting that panel and putting that together, and catching up and making the borders that I couldn't finish making Friday night. So I did all of that Saturday, and then on Sunday morning, rather than add to it and get drawn into doing another load, I thought I'll leave it there, I'll pack all my machine away, and I will sit and do some hand piecing, because I had block 2 of my Cosmos block of the month from the EPP club with Elise Beck. So that is my block 2. I fussy cut this one, I fussy cut the centre, these, I didn't fussy cut the green, I did these and these. But it's a really cute block. I don't know if you remember. That was my block 1 that I fussy cut, and this is block 2. So that's 2 done. I think tomorrow is Thursday. Yes, tomorrow is month 3 is released, so I will have a look at that. Also, while I was away, my Alice Caroline Flower Garden month 4 arrived. Haven't opened that yet. And also my Mrs. Quilty box 3 arrived. Was it 3? Yes, 3. That arrived. So I haven't opened that yet. So I'll do some videos on those later. I was a little bit naughty and came home with some fabrics that I didn't take. Are they here? Can I find them? Where have I put them all? Oh, I might have to dig them out later. I think they're in my sewing machine bag. Yes, they are. So I'll get them out later. But Louise was selling some of her fabulous fabric, and she had this peacock range, and I just looked and I thought, oh, fussy cutting for EPP. I need some of that. So I got some, brought some home. But for now, that is, I think, all the news I've got at the moment. I'm going to look for, I think I'm going to use some of this fabrics. I might do a scrappy border on this just to incorporate all the leftovers I've got of these fabrics, and then I'll put the binding on with that and finish that off. But I had a lovely weekend. It was really good to go away and sew and learn some new things, and just have some great company and enjoy myself. So that's me. I'm still a little bit in recovery mode, still on a go slow, but I'm getting there. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye.